Hi everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. And welcome to our fourth and final session of our webinar series of understanding consent in relation to GBV and SGBV. So we have recently had like 3 sessions, and this one is the fourth one. And in the past sessions, we have been able to explore how power dynamics, culture, and stereotypes shape our understanding of consent. We even got the opportunity to discuss what is gender-based violence and sexual gender-based violence and the meaning of consent. And so today we will take another important step forward. As our last session, we will be looking at the legal framework on consent, understanding the laws that are meant to protect, empower, and also give the voice to those who may remain unheard. And also, it's a great knowledge for us to know, because last time also we discussed about being a bystander and our role as bystanders. And so this session will also help us to be able to bridge the gap by helping us understand what the law says about consent and how it connects in our daily lives. I'm glad that we still have this conversation, and please make sure you share our content on social media so that it can be able to reach a larger audience. So I'll just start with some engaging questions because we have had like a series. Some of these questions, they'll seem like basic knowledge. I would like just to get feedback, especially from our expert. That could be Eric, Perry, and I don't know if Claire. I see Claire is here, and Claire and Alice when she's able to join. I'll start by asking if anyone can just remember what we said. What is the meaning of consent? Yes, Eric, please continue.
Thank you. I think one of the things that for me, the most important aspect of consent is that consent is one of the fundamental human rights and dignity. So I believe that consent it's something that it's a voluntary. It's not something that you are being pushed on. It's a voluntary, and it's a critical aspect of combating gender-based violence and also sexual and gender-based violence, (GBV). So consent, it's a clear and voluntary agreement to engage in an aspect of activity. And one of the key elements of consent, it's 1, voluntary, must be given freely without coercion. 2, informed. Individuals should understand why they are agreeing to. And then lastly, it's capacity. Someone must be given by someone who is legally capacity to consent, or someone who is of a sober mind. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Eric. So, and also we realize that there are different situations where you need to ask for consent, and some of the situation was in intimate relationships. And so maybe this intimate relationship could mean either you're married or you are in a sexual relationship with someone, maybe your boyfriend. And we said it's important for us to ask for consent, even if you are in that kind of relationship. So maybe somebody else, maybe Perry, could tell us what is consent in an intimate or sexual relationship.
Thank you so much, Juliet. So consent in intimate or sexual relationship, it is an agreement between participants to engage in a sexual activity. 1, it must be freely given. Then it must be informed. It must be enthusiastic. It must be reversible and specific. This means both people clearly agree to what is happening.
Thank you, Perry. So, and then there was this just question I'm going to ask. Can someone consent if they are drunk, high, or asleep? Anyone can respond to that and maybe tell us why.
Juliet, I can go first. No, a person cannot give
Yes?
a valid consent.
Yes.
I can go up, I can say no. So someone cannot consent if they are drunk or high or asleep, because that person
Yes.
cannot give a valid consent. So it's a no, because they are under the influence of something. They are unconscious.
Yes.
So if someone is drunk, they cannot give a consent because they are under an influence of something, and that is alcohol.
Yes. So, because we said, first of all, consent needs to be clear. It should be, you can't ask someone who's asleep or drunk or high, because the way Perry has said they're under the influence. So, they're not in the right state of mind for them to consent to anything. And then maybe another question that I would ask is, does being in a relationship or being married automatically mean that you consent?
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. So to your question, does being in a relationship actually mean automatic consent? My answer would be no, because being in a relationship or marriage does not mean that there's actually automatic consent that has to be there, because consent is something that's ongoing and it needs explicitity every time. Yeah, so I think it's an
Yes.
ongoing process that needs to be given every other time. So I don't think it's an automatic thing that happens in either relationships or in marriage. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Claire, for that. So maybe the last question I would ask, what are the signs that someone is not consenting? We talked about verbal cues and nonverbal cues. So maybe someone could say, what are some of the signs that someone is not consenting before we get to our speaker?
I can go in. What are the signs that someone is not consenting? So we are saying that the verbal signs include
Yes.
saying no, stop, or I'm not sure. So someone can do a no or
Yes.
stop, I'm not sure.
Yes.
And verbal signs can include pulling away. Someone can pull away, freezing, also crying, or showing some discomfort. This sign must always be
Yes.
respected. So those are some of the signs that someone is not consenting.
Yes.
If someone says no, stop, I'm not
Yes.
sure. They can also use nonverbal signs
Yes.
that like pulling away. They can start freezing. They can start crying or showing
Yes.
some discomfort. So that is a sign that those are signs that must be respected.
Okay, yes, because we said consent should be enthusiastic and it should be clear. So it is also so there's another so we said, aside from just like intimate and sexual relationship, there's also consent in terms of sharing either photos or digital content, that you need to ask for permission and not just share people's personal photos. It's very important because you find that some people will use your explicit photos to either threaten or take advantage of you.
Thank you so much. So we can go to the next engaging question, which we talk about consent in digital space. So I can give it Eric. Eric, you can engage us on that. Consent in digital space.
Thank you. Thank you so much. When we talk about consent in digital space, consent in the digital space, it's really increasingly important as technology has become more integrated into our life. So one of the things is just to understand the digital consent, and I would like to define the digital consent as just like in a physical interaction, whereby digital consent refer to the agreement to share personal information, engaged in an online activity, or participate in a digital communication. And one of the types of the digital consent is data sharing. So consent it's required before sharing a personal data with the website, app, or even a third party. You need to have a consent sharing data permission. Online interaction also, it's one of the consent that it's very necessary for engaging in an activity such as sending messages, sharing photos, or even participating in a video call. One of the things is that digital consent it's an essential aspect of an online interaction, requiring a clear communication, respect of privacy, and also the ongoing awareness. So as technology evolves, like so or even so much must be understanding and also a practice around consent in their digital realm. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If someone sends you an explicit image, is that a consent violation? I would say yes. Sending unsolicited explicit image is a form of digital sexual harassment and is often illegal. So most of the time people don't know that if someone sends you an explicit image, it's a violation of your consent. So I can also talk about consent in workspace, schools, and public spaces. Eric, what does consent mean in a school or a workspace?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that question. So when we talk about consent in a school or a workspace, this is a very very deep and also a very engaging interactive session. So consent in a school or even in a work environment is very essential for fostering a respectful and also a safe atmosphere. So one is to understanding in a school context, consent refer to the mutual agreement maybe of student and staff regarding the participation in activity, sharing of information, and also collaboration on project. So you cannot maybe, for example, you see primary kids, the ones that are not, they are below the age of 18. Those consent need are required to be signed by their guardian. So students should agree to participate maybe in a group project or even understand their role. Mostly you find for students or for people that are over the age of 18, they can give their consent. But for the primary school, we also really love or engage their guardian or their parents to sign for them the consent. So consent in a school or even in a work environment, it's a vital just to promote the respect, safety, and also inclusivity. Just by fostering a clear communication, respecting boundaries, especially in schools, you can be able to create an environment whereby each and every learner and has their own personal growth. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes. So do power dynamics affect consent in school or workspace? I would say absolutely. Power imbalances. Teacher, student, boss to employee, it can compromise a true consent as the lower power individual may feel obligated or pressured to comply. What should you do if someone violates your consent in public or professional spaces? One, I would say, clearly express your discomfort. The next one, report the behavior to the appropriate authorities. If it is a school, if it is a workspace, you can talk to the HRs or the school officials. Seek support from the trusted individuals or organizations. So if you feel your consent is violated, you cannot say, Sina, I don't have like help. Always express that discomfort, report the behavior to the appropriate organizations or authorities. Go back to you, Juliet.
So thank you so much, Perry, for handling that part. So when we come to the part of legal framework on consent, so maybe I would just ask, who understands the term legal framework? Like, from your understanding, what does that, who can tell us what they understand by that term, legal framework? Okay, so legal framework, it refers to the body of the law or a formal regulation in a country that defines, regulates, and protects individuals. That protects individuals from acts that can cause harm. This could be either sexual act, gender-based violence. So and also, so some of these acts, or they could be either sexual assault, rape, anything in terms of inheritance. These laws protect us from anything that's unlawful. That's why we need to understand the importance of these legal laws. GBV and SGBV have become so common in our country. What are some of the things that you think what are some of the things that are creating barriers for reporting GBV and for the victims to get justice?
Juliet, I would start by saying fear of stigma.
Yes.
The fear of stigma. So that is one of the barrier. You fear to be stigmatized because you reported that case. So that is one of the biggest barrier.
Some of the legal and national policies on SGBV that help us that protect one of it is the Constitution of Kenya, which guarantees rights, the dignity and human security, freedom from violation and discrimination. So our Constitution protects every person who is within Kenya against such things, against any violation. The Constitution still guarantees equality and non-discrimination based on sex. Our Constitution on Chapter 4, the Bills of Rights, is the heart of rights protections in Kenya. The rights to life, rights to equality, freedom from discrimination, and human dignity. Our Constitution our Constitution takes in from the international laws from 2020. And some of those international laws are CEDAW, CRC, ICCP. All these are laws that protect human rights and protect women and children. I want to say that in this Constitution, this is where most of the laws have come in for protecting Kenyans. In our Kenyans law, we have the laws that relate to SGBV. And one of them is the Sexual Offense Act of 2026, which criminalizes rape, sexual assault, defilement. It protects women and girls from unwanted sexual acts and exploitation. In the same laws of Kenya, we have the Prohibition of Female Genital Mutilations Act of 2011 that outlaws all forms of FGM. We have the Children's Act of 2001 that protects children from physical or psychological abuse and neglect, and also trafficking. We have the Penal Code that contains offenses of assault against on body. Those are some of the acts that I can say that protects citizens of Kenya and any harmful acts. Over to
Thank you,
Julie.
Alice. I see. Asante sana, Alice. So we only have 3 minutes. So in these 3 minutes, maybe tell us, in 2 minutes, tell us what are some of the things that makes it hard for victims to get justice.
I want to say that it's all about the reporting mechanism. A survivor, once you have experienced any violations, you report to the nearest police station. At the police station, you'll find the gender desk where you'll have an occurrence number for easy tracking of your case. Another thing is using the national helplines. Any survivor, wherever you are, and if whatever happens to you, even children, we have hotline numbers. Like for children, we have 116, which works 24/7. We also have for gender-based violence, which is 1195. 1519 is for Wangukanja, which helps in for survivors of sexual violence. Why we don't get justice, it all depends on whether if you reported it. If you reported it, it's very different. But I would want to give the pathway in a very quick, in 1 minute, of what happens for justice. Is reporting to the one of the areas that you do is reporting to the nearest police, to the health center. At the health center, you are given the first aid. Your case is taken. A form called PRC form is filled in. A collection of evidence. Then you go to the police where you get an OB number. They take your statement. They prepare a file for the ODPP. At the ODPP, they proceed to the court and a charge is made. So with 3 things that survivor can get justice is reporting to the health center where a post-rape care is given, and evidence is collected by the same hospital, that is DNA. At the police, they give you an OB number and they take your statement and they proceed to the ODPP. Over to you, Julie.
Thank you, Alice. I think we will do an online campaign on this topic. So thank you so much for everyone